guys, how's it going? Today I'm planting up a couple sets of our containers with Superbells. You might know them by the name Calibrachoa. They are a beautiful trailing annual that have blooms that look like little mini petunias. They come in a lot of different colors, and I've got some beauties that I'm planting today. We did a Success with Superbells video, but it's been over 2 years ago now, I think. So I thought it was time for a refresh because in my experience, they are a little trickier than some of your other blooming annuals, and it took me a little while to figure out what these like to really flourish and do really well throughout the season. So I want to explain this area first. There are 2 containers. I know you can only see one. They're flanking an opening that go into our brick patio area. They look exactly the same. I've got a Juniper Spiral in the center of each one, and this spot gets full sun all day long. I know it's shady right now. We threw a shade up for the purpose of making this video today, but it does receive a lot of sun, which is what these plants like. So let me talk to you about the specific varieties I have here. We've got Superbell's Coralina, which is a beautiful color. Coral is one of my favorite colors to plant in the garden, but I like that the throat is kind of a deep pink and then it turns yellow, so you still get that kind of bright pop. The next one is Superbell's Miss Lilac, just that beautiful clear lilac color. I just think it's so pretty, and these look so gorgeous together, very pastel. This one here is called Superbell's Double Blue, and this one is actually new for next year. It's one I'm able to trial out this year. I planted it in a window box as well, so it'll be fun to see how it does in a container versus the window box. And I'm just excited to show you guys throughout this year how it does with these other plants, so that it might be one that you want to look for next year. The other plant I have sitting here is called a Diamond Delight Euphorbia. And the reason I'm putting this in with the Superbells, I wanted something that gets a little bit taller because my Superbells will be my trailer, but both of these plants like the same kind of conditions. So I think they'll do really well together. In fact, last year I had Superbells White planted with Diamond Frost Euphorbia, and they did wonderful. So I think we'll have some pretty good success with these. So the first thing is Superbells like a lot of light, like a minimum of 6 hours of sun every single day. And like I said, this area gets sun for most of the day, so they should be really happy right here, but they need that energy from the sun in order to perform really, really well. The second thing is they like to actually dry out a little bit in between watering, which is not typical of all the other annuals or most of the other annuals that I have experienced planting. So I haven't really had a whole bunch of success planting Superbells in with my Supertunias because Supertunias like a little bit more water while Superbells want to dry out a little bit. It just hasn't worked for me. I know other people who have great success with it. So I don't know, it could be user error, but I just find success with these if I put them on their own, just Superbells in a container, or if I pair them with something else that actually likes to dry out a little bit as well. That's why Superbells do better in containers or hanging baskets, because they get water quickly and then it drains quickly, and then they don't have to sit in water. Their roots don't like that at all. If you put Superbells in the landscape, they just don't tend to flourish as well because the soil around them doesn't release moisture and it just kind of hangs out around the roots. So they do better in containers, window baskets, hanging baskets, situations like that. The third thing is they like quite a bit of fertilizer. So just like all of our other blooming annuals, in order to get them to bloom a lot, you do need to give them quite a bit of food. So today I'm going to be adding in some slow release fertilizer into the top couple inches of soil, and this will slowly feed their roots for like 6 to 8 weeks. And I like to know that there's something in there kind of doing that. But they also benefit from a weekly fertilizer as well, which I have all of my annuals on a schedule to do it once a week. With Superbells, you do want to make sure that you're using one that the label says has chelated iron in it. Otherwise, the foliage can tend to yellow. So just make sure the label says chelated iron and your Superbells will be happier. And this is just a quicker jolt of fertilizer every week, as opposed to this one, which is just kind of slowly feeding them. And the last couple of things just have to do with a little bit of maintenance that you may have to do throughout the season. Sometimes I have to do it, sometimes I don't. First one is trimming and pruning. You might notice midsummer or kind of towards the end of summer that they start to get a little straggly toward the bottom. Like if you have them in a hanging basket, you might notice the bottom growth is just looking a little stringy. You can trim that up, and then all of a sudden it gives your plant a whole bunch more energy to put into new growth and new blooms. So it's just a good thing to keep an eye on your plants, and if they're starting to look like that, you can prune them up a little bit. You can also prune the tops a bit if they're starting to look like they're reaching, or that may mean they need more light as well. But the rule of thumb is just to not take more than 20% of the plant away, because you still want, quite a bit of the plant there to soak in the energy. You still need all the foliage there to soak in the sunshine, give the plant the energy to keep on going. And the last thing is something that I deal with, but maybe something you don't, and I hope you don't deal with it, but it's budworms. Budworms are little green green caterpillars that affect our Supertunias and Superbells a lot. And so I thought I would mention it because it's something that I have to deal with. So if you don't either preventatively spray or spray them right as you notice that they're starting to attack your plants, they can decimate your plant and it can take quite a while for the plant to rebound. So you can spray them with BT, which is just a natural spray. It's derived from a bacteria that's found in the soil. It does not hurt honeybees or any other flying insects. It only affects the caterpillars on your plants. So it's something that I usually start about mid to late May and spray them for 2 to 3 weeks, and it usually keeps anything that may be starting at bay so that we make sure to have pretty flowers all season long. So that's pretty much it for my tips on Superbells. If you have anything additional to add, please leave it in the comment section. Now I'm going to plant these up. So I'm going to take these out and get my slow release fertilizer mixed into the soil, and then we'll see how all of these look together. This set of containers is all done, and I love the way that they turned out. We did remove the shade so that you guys could see this whole area and how it looks, and it is very bright. As you can see, the only shade that the plants are getting right now is the shade that the spirals are casting on the front, which doesn't last for very long. The Diamond Delight Euphorbia right here grows to about 12 inches, so I'm expecting it to kind of grow and fill in and be a beautiful backdrop to kind of set these Superbells apart from the Juniper, and I just think the mix of colors is beautiful. So now let's move to the second set of containers I want to get done. They're in front of the house. So this is the second set of containers. These are the estate planters up here in our Versailles garden, and they've got a pine lollipop in the center, which has been doing really well, but I think that I need to put something underneath them that doesn't need quite as much water, so Superbells should be great. This area does get a fair amount of sun as well, from first thing in the morning until probably mid to late afternoon. So typically I put things like this and Supertunias and Superbena up here, and they do really well. So I've got 4 different varieties I'm planting underneath the pine. I've got a Superbell's Grape Punch right here, which have really large flowers for Superbells. They have a really dark purple throat. Then we've got Superbell's Holy Smokes, which is just a really fun looking flower. So it looks like it's got a white base with like purple up each petal, and then a little splash of yellow in the center that kind of comes out like a star. Then another Superbell's Miss Lilac that we planted in the first containers. And then this is another new one for next year called Superbell's Double Amber. Love this one so much. And so I'm going for mostly purple, but I thought this little kind of touch of apricot in here would be really pretty. So anyway, I'm going to plant them up. We'll see how they look. This blend of plants turned out. I think this combination of purple with the amber in there will show up from a distance, which is kind of important to me because you really see these containers from our driveway kind of when you're driving by, and I wanted them to look really kind of bright but soft, and I was thinking about adding some white in at first, and then I thought against that because we have so much white house right behind us that I really wanted the colors to be a little bit separate and contrasted. So in each one of the containers that I planted up today, we have 3 half-gallon per hour emitters run to each container, and depending on the time of year, we could run ours anywhere from 30 minutes to 1 hour a day. Like in the really hot part of the summer when it's 105, 110 degrees, they run for an hour every single day. This time of year, we've been getting an abnormal amount of rain, so some days we even shut the water off because they're getting enough from the sky. So anyway, you just kind of have to adjust those things, and you learn every year how your planters do and what you need to do with your drip system if you have them hooked up onto irrigation, which I highly recommend that you do. It makes life so much easier. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope this video was helpful. Hope you learned something about Superbells that maybe you didn't know already. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.